This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 1291, Living Expenses in Retirement and Early Retirement Opportunity Costs, both by Mike Ballew of Eggstack.com. And I am Dan. I'm your host here on Optimal Finance Daily, where I read to you every single day from some of the best personal finance blogs on the planet. And before I begin, just want to remind you that you can always share your ideas for future shows by coming to oldpodcast.com. That's oldpodcast.com. We love to hear your ideas for topics we can cover here. For now, let's get right to today's two posts from Mike Ballew as we start optimizing your life. Living Expenses in Retirement by Mike Ballew of Eggstack.com. Conventional wisdom would have you believe that your living expenses will decrease in retirement. But is that really the case? According to a study by the Employee Benefit Research Institute, half of Americans experience an increase in living expenses when they retire. Influential factors. By the time you retire, a traveling Jones coupled with a bucket list of destinations will have you packing your bags. And with no job and no young children to tie you down, what better time to travel? In addition, there's the fact that you're not getting any younger. You have to get out there and enjoy life while you still can. Contrary to the advice given in How to Be Happy in Retirement, many people wait until they retire to decide how they're going to occupy their time. Unless your retirement plans consist of visits to the local library and knitting, there are going to be some startup costs. For example, suppose you decide to take up woodworking. You'll need some power tools and a stockpile of wood, and maybe an air conditioner for your garage. There will be upfront costs associated with any endeavor you undertake, which is why it's best to put those costs behind you while you're still working. Retirement is a shock to the system. With no steady paycheck coming in, it's not unusual for new retirees to clamp down on discretionary spending. Running out of money is the number one fear among retirees. Find something you like to do before you retire. Medical costs. Most people experience increased medical costs as they age. Medicare does not cover everything. There are copays and other out-of-pocket expenses to contend with. Medicare supplemental insurance can help, but it's not free. Even if you have perfect genes and have lived a perfect life, you can expect your medical costs to increase in retirement. Saving for retirement. One bright spot is the fact that once you retire, you no longer need to save for retirement. That frees up a good chunk of your budget. Housing. Ideally, you will have paid off your mortgage by the time you retire. You will still have taxes and insurance to pay, but they are significantly less than an entire mortgage payment. Unfortunately, mortgage-free bliss is not the case for many retirees. A study by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found that 1/3 of retirees still make mortgage payments. Transportation. While housing typically consumes the lion's share of your household budget, transportation runs a close second. This is another expense that should decrease in retirement. With no daily commute to work, you should experience lower fuel costs and less wear and tear on your vehicles. You may decide to trim down to one car, as discussed in Downsizing to One Car in Retirement. Taking the plunge can have a favorable effect on your finances. Life insurance. Life insurance is another area where you can economize in retirement. You are retired, so there's no income to replace. Retirement is the right time to kick term life insurance to the curb. Travel. Finally, we end where we began, with travel. As we said, travel costs will likely increase when you retire, but they'll taper off over time. When you reach an age where travel feels more like torture than something you enjoy, the vacations will come to an end. A good model for planning purposes is to assume elevated travel expenses for the first 10 years of retirement, followed by a fairly rapid cessation. Conclusion. Your living expenses are going to change when you retire, and they are going to keep on changing. That's why it is so important to plan and save for retirement. The best way to plan for retirement is to hire a financial advisor or avail yourself of sophisticated computer software that can model changes over time. Don't rely on free online calculators or leave it to chance. Your retirement is too important. And I'll have another post for you in just a sec, but first, wish you were in early on some of the best performing IPOs of 2019 and 2020? OurCrowd investors were, and now you can join them in what's next. With OurCrowd, accredited investors have access to invest directly, easily, and most importantly, early. OurCrowd investors have benefited from OurCrowd companies IPOing, like Beyond Meat, or being bought by companies like Intel, Nike, Microsoft, and Oracle. Today, you can join OurCrowd's investment in TechSee, a software startup that helps technicians and customer service teams see what the customer sees without ever stepping inside their home or office. They use patented technology combining video, augmented reality, and computer vision AI, allowing companies to keep their customer service up and running, reducing costs and enhancing their customer experience. It's safe, easy, and already revolutionizing how companies like Vodafone, Verizon, and Samsung support their customers. You can get in early on TechSee and other unique opportunities at OurCrowd.com/OFD. If you're interested in investing, you need to join OurCrowd. The OurCrowd account is free. Just go to OurCrowd.com/OFD. Early Retirement Opportunity Costs by Mike Ballew of Eggstack.com. Opportunity costs represent the value an individual or organization forfeits when choosing one option over another. For example, shares of Tesla were trading at $250 this time last year. Today, those same shares are worth $1,500. The opportunity cost of spending $1,000 last summer instead of investing it in Tesla is $5,000. Whether we realize it or not, we face opportunity costs on a daily basis. The opportunity cost of eating a steady diet of fried chicken is the health benefits one would enjoy if they ate healthier fare. The opportunity cost of your failure to launch child living in the basement is the income and independence he or she would experience if they would step away from the remote and go find a job. Early retirement opportunity costs. There is a clamor today for early retirement, which lives and breathes in the FIRE movement. FIRE stands for Financially Independent Retire Early. Thanks to the coronavirus, the phenomenon has become even more prevalent. After working from home, people have gotten a taste of what retirement is like, and they want more. Some fail to realize the opportunity costs associated with early retirement. Early retirement's biggest opportunity cost is lost wages. People who retire early miss out on the income they would have earned had they kept working. Based on the average U.S. annual income of $63,000, retiring early is equivalent to buying a new Mercedes each year and pushing it off a cliff. Another opportunity cost is increased healthcare expenses. Most people's medical insurance comes by way of their employer, who pays for much, if not all of it. The minimum eligibility age for Medicare is 65, which means those who retire early must foot the entire bill for medical insurance until they reach 65. Destination unknown. No one has a crystal ball or knows what the future will hold. This is particularly true when it comes to retirement. We do not know what the economy will do, what changes may take place in the tax code, how long our health will hold out, or how long we will live. One thing we do know is the longer you work, the more money you make. As we've said before, Social Security was never intended to be a retiree's sole source of income. It's up to each of us to save for retirement so we can supplement Social Security benefits. Here's another cliff analogy. Retiring early is like jumping off a cliff. There is no undo button. Actually, there is, but with each passing year it becomes less effective. You can go back to work, but if you've been out of the workforce for many years, it's unlikely you'll earn what you made before. The fact is, by the time you realize you didn't save enough money, it's too late. You've been out of the workforce for too long and nobody wants you. You are perceived as rusty and out of touch with the latest methods and technologies. Not only that, but even if you did manage to find someone willing to hire you, your health may have deteriorated to the point where you are no longer physically able to work. Final thoughts. Retiring early is not all it's cracked up to be. Those who take the plunge increase their level of uncertainty and decrease their lifestyle both before and after retirement. It requires a lifetime of scrimping and saving and missing out on things in order to save like no one before, followed by more of the same in retirement. If you're wealthy, go for it. Otherwise, it's likely you will be better off taking the traditional retirement route. You just listened to the posts titled Living Expenses in Retirement and Early Retirement Opportunity Costs, both by Mike Ballew of Eggstack.com. And that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your day and that your week's off to a good start. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.